Guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode for the Financial Freedom Podcast. I'm really excited about today's guest. She actually speaks straight to the heart of the medical industry. She's a brand strategist and marketer focused on bringing universal marketing solutions to the functional medicine industry. And so she's got a variety of skill sets. We're going to talk about Google SEO, being a thought leader and influencer, and talking about the impact of AI in today's world. Her name is Anna, and I'm happy to welcome her to the show. Hey, Anna, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we connected through Podmatch, and tell people your story and background and how you got started.
Sure. So my education is actually, I have a degree in secondary education, and I'm minored in biology and chemistry. Science has always been a fascinating thing for me. I taught at some specialized schools for about 10 years. And kind of as a hobby or as a stress release, I also got into marketing for small businesses. I grew up in a family-owned small business, always worked with small businesses. So after about 10 years of teaching, it was time to transition, like a lot of people have run into. So I went a different direction with the marketing, and I actually started working with coaches in the group coaching industry. This is about 10 years ago before it really blew up. And just coming alongside them, helping them with what they're doing, almost like an administrative, executive assistant kind of role. But what that did for me was expose me to all of these different strategies and tactics and tools that you can use to direct the business in the way you wanted it to go. More recently, I've become a little disheartened with the group coaching industry. There are great coaches out there. I think it's a great thing. But I needed a change, and I kind of wanted to step out on my own and started looking for an industry where I think you call it transferable skills, and looking for an industry where I could take all the stuff I'd learned in group coaching, but apply it somewhere that it really made a difference, something real and tangible. And so we landed on functional medicine. And my husband and I run the company together. He handles kind of the business side, and I handle more of the marketing. So we go stem to stern, and we'll start with a company looking at their personnel, their cash flow, different systems we can put in place to maximize efficiency, get them settled with their branding assets, build the assets that we need, and then start on a plan. So it's been a lot of fun so far.
I'm really interested in because the whole healthcare model, especially for doctors, not for dentists and other healthcare practitioners, but for doctors, the employment model is W-2, and you hook up with a big hospital system, which really limits your freedom. In this day and age of insurance, how can medical practitioners create a cash-based revenue stream where you don't have to deal with insurance, that cumbersome getting ripped off by them? Talk about that.
Yeah. So I think the very first step, the thing my clients seem to really struggle with, is getting the concept in their minds that people will actually pay cash for quality healthcare services. Just like, physicians and providers want freedom to do what they want to do. As a patient, I want freedom to do what I want to do. I've struggled with chronic health conditions my whole life, and really we've had a hard time pinning down what it is, but I've worked with a lot of functional medicine doctors. And sometimes you have to take that different approach, but I like my freedom too. So if physicians can get in their heads that this is actually possible, there are actually people out there, then you look for what that provider is really passionate about, what aligns with their future goals. If you're trying to work yourself kind of out of the practice, then you don't want to take an avenue that has you really time heavy in the practice. So what aligns with your goals? And then figure out how to reach that audience with that product. So if you're really interested in, bioidentical hormone treatment, for premenopause, whatever it is, for early menopause, then take that route. When you go online and when you're able to connect with patients virtually, because we're cash-based now, you don't have the same restrictions. When you're able to connect with patients virtually, you're looking at patients over the whole nation. All of a sudden, the providers available to me are just exponential just because they're out there. So it's that mindset change is really that first step.
Yeah, it's really amazing once you get that unlocked like that, and then you realize that your income potential is unlimited, and
Yeah.
you can control your time, can
Yes.
control your hours, your income as well. And a lot of doctors are moving to this DPC type of model, which basically brings us back, because basically, if you're selling products or service, doctors and healthcare practitioners can do the same outside of the traditional insurance model. Which brings us to my next question, which is basically you have to market yourself. So
Right.
I know you talk about Google, but what are some of the ways of marketing your business, your cash-based business?
Yeah,
And,
absolutely. It really all centers around branding. When you're looking at a practice, you have the practice and maybe 5 providers. Well, you're actually looking at 6 different brands there. So the first thing is just that branding. That's one of the first things that we focus on is by branding and assets. I'm talking about your URL. I'm talking about your social media profiles. I'm talking about who owns your email addresses, like where your Google My Business account is. And I think it would be, I don't know, maybe surprising, maybe not, just how many practices are just in the weeds. And so they don't know, these practice owners, that they have no idea what their login is or where their stuff is. And sometimes it means actually reclaiming valuable branding assets from a third party. So if you've connected with a third party in the past, kind of handed all this stuff off to them for them to do your marketing, you have to watch, because sometimes it's difficult to get those assets back. So that's the first thing we tackle. At that point, you can start bringing in tools like SEO research and Google and your website. All these things are just tools to help you move along the process. But first, you have to have your assets, and you have to have your plan and your strategy. And then, there are a ton of tools depending on where you want to go.
And in this day and age, what is better? Like, is it Google SEO? Is it Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, like Facebook? There's so many now.
I know it kind of sounds like a cop-out answer, but it all depends on your goals. Just to say, like, every practitioner out there needs to start posting a video once a week and, doing 3 social media. Well, what if that's not your goal? What if that's not the direction you need to go? If you're just looking at cash flow, you're looking at one direction. If you're looking at building your practice into something larger, you're looking at going in other ways. You have to make sure that the choices you make in marketing align with your ultimate goals. And identifying those goals could be very difficult. I was watching your episode with Paul Crosby, and he was talking about being able to see the systems and working with these systems. And I resonate so much with that. Like, that's so much the airport analogy. Like, that's just how my brain works. And to be able to take these practices and see what they really, the people that are assets that they aren't utilizing, and to put all this stuff in place, well, now you have security and you have freedom and you have control to take yourself, your family, your practice anywhere you want it to go.
Yeah.
So it all depends, I guess.
Yeah. It all, like I said, go where your followers are. What resonates, what are your goals, compare just trying to educate or connect. And that's what social media is a tool. So, use it to your purposes. There's not one defined.
Exactly.
And so basically, once you go to this DPC or cash-based stream, 3 steps to become, you're becoming a thought leader. So how do you become a authority figure? You said 3 steps.
Yeah. Okay. 3 steps. First is identifying your overall keywords. What is your company? What is your practice, your brand? What are you going to be known for? And where do you want to get a foothold in your market? So you need to look at how long your URL has been active, what kind of keywords you're working with, what's already out there for your brand, and what can you manipulate into. I like picking current keywords for a company that have the highest keyword difficulty, because basically it's going to be hard to break into it, but you're already there. So figure out what you're already working with. And then from there, you have to figure out how to get the outside world to see what your brand is, because most people are going to drive straight past your practice. They're going to look straight past your posts. How do you get yourself out there, and communicate? Then it's about creating the right kind of content. And that's where you are looking at your topical maps and then knowledge clusters. There are terms for them. So break down what you want to tell your people. If you want to really focus on, hormone treatment, or you want to focus on IV hydration, or you want to focus on anti-inflammatory processes, whatever it is, start with your basic large topical map, and then identify areas where you can produce a large amount of content. We usually start with 10 posts. So we'll create 10 articles right around this little topic here. Then you start adding in your videos. Well, what that does to Google is it kind of flags you as like, hey, they talk about this a lot. They really like this content. They know a lot about this content. And that's when your rankings start going up. Well, then you can do it again. And you can work Google into seeing you as the topical authority on whatever subject you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so amazing because you have basically infinite access to millions of followers, customers, people, and you can spend 30 minutes on a post, anything, and it's just the reach is incredible, scale is incredible. You don't have the gatekeepers, and and it's free.
But that makes it really scary also. We really cater to, we like to call it practices that are in the weeds. We work with some service-based businesses too, but you have these, especially small business owners, they know this. Like everybody hears about social media, you need to be posting, you need to do something. And it's really scary because you're just trying to run your business. So we're almost kind of like pre-social media marketing. It's getting companies ready to get out there and market. And we come alongside and work with these companies. We don't have a coaching program. We don't have a video, series to go through because we work one-on-one and we work very closely. So it's taking away some of that fear, just somebody to kind of guide you out of the weeds and into control over where you're going on social media.
Yeah. I love that. What the other question I have is, you talked about this idea is what is the difference between branding and marketing?
Okay, that's a really good question. Branding as your company's personality, your practice's personality, your personality online. So branding includes your messaging, your copywriting, the articles you put out, the colors you choose, the fonts you choose, the images you choose. It's all of this. But what you're trying to do is show everyone around you who you really are. And a lot of times we come across like junior hires where we don't really know who we are and we're just kind of throwing stuff out there to see what sticks, what people resonate with. But it's really about identifying who you are and how you show that. Marketing, on the other hand, has a very specific goal. So you want to increase patients in this area of your practice. You want to start a cash-based program. You want to whatever. So marketing has a specific goal. You take your branding and you build on it. That's when you start using tools like paid per click ads or YouTube videos. You figure out the right tool to take your brand to reach your goal. So branding, then marketing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I love that. I love that idea. And why does the medical industry need marketing now more than ever?
One of the scary things right now with the medical industry, for me, and this is my personal opinion, but it's the introduction of AI into so much of this. And I know we were going to get there eventually, but you start introducing AI. And if this is where, especially these like large third-party marketing to healthcare kind of companies, if they're relying on this AI for their data and that's what they're putting out and you don't have control over it, then there's a lot of misinformation concerns and worries. And you just think about what small tweaks in what ChatGPT puts out as far as information and the consequences that can come after that. So in the future, especially these independent practitioners, they're trying to do it a little bit of a different way. They're trying to reach an audience. They're going to have a very hard time getting a foothold in all of this data that's going to be coming down this pipeline because it's growing. It's like it's a tsunami. It's coming. So you're just going to kind of get drowned out. But if you can start now at some kind of point, establishing your brand, getting yourself out there, get your foothold, then you will always have a voice. This is not a one-off, like a marketing campaign or an ads campaign. You run it for 7 days or 3 months or whatever it is, and then it's done. That's not what brand is. And that's not what this content is. You're putting it out there, and years down the line, somebody that needs your help is going to find your video where you talked about how to deal with this symptom, and they're going to benefit from it. That is your foothold. And that's the only way these practitioners are going to keep a voice moving forward.
Yeah. I love that. And which brings us to the next question is this idea of AI. And there's this really great book I was recently reading is called The Coming Wave. And basically there's a couple waves that we are totally unprepared for. So we weren't prepared for COVID. And now there's this climate change that we're not prepared for. And now it's also AI. And, if people thought the internet was really disruptive, AI is really disruptive. So
yes.
Talk about the impact that branding and marketing will have on these industries and what we can do to be prepared.
As far as adding AI into branding and marketing, the scary part of that is you can quick develop what looks like topical authority on something. You can look like you know what you're talking about. And I mean, we see it all the time with frauds, and you look at these blockchain craziness going on, and you see it all the time because these people look so great right up front, but they're doing something deceptive behind the scene. AI just makes that a little bit easier, which is why I think one of the reactions that the public is going to have is to scrutinize more heavily, so you can make sure that you can really rely on the content that you're getting. Practitioners need to have good content out there for people to find and for them to rely on that is not all AI generated. We use AI in our business. We do, but we use it very carefully. It's very carefully placed. It's to do some of the repetitive tasks. It's to do like the start of topical maps, to do ideas here and there. When you use it well, you can maximize your efficiency, which lowers your costs, which lowers the barrier of entry of other practices getting the help that they need. So that's kind of the direction we take with it.
I love that. This whole thing with ChatGPT, it's actually been really great for my business this year. And there's just so much more you can do, especially with the cloning of the AI voices and the pictures. You can actually pretty much clone yourself, which is really fascinating.
Yeah, and really scary. Like, you think of all the things that can come out of that, and that it's a little scary. It is. Yeah.
Like all the deep fakes and all the misinformation, and somebody puts out a wrong tweet, and then the markets start crashing. How can people contact you, follow you, reach out to you, etc.?
Sure. So this is a project that we've been working on for a while, but just now getting it out there. Some of our first content is posting. We're a designer on LinkedIn and Facebook and stuff under Designer Branding Solutions. So yeah, you can check us out there. Right now, we're kind of in fact-finding mode, trying to make sure that we're bringing exactly the right tools and the right solutions to the functional medicine, industry specifically. So for now, my calendar is on my website. So you can go to contact us and book a time, because I would love to hear from people that are in this space and people that know more than I do and can kind of see. I have some questions for you if you're up for that in a second. But I love hearing from people that are the authorities in this industry, and it helps us see how we can better meet people's needs. So I'd love to hear from anybody that that wants to chat and kind of be involved in this. It's been a great project so far. It
was a really great discussion. I think it's really the medical community would really benefit, and all of Hannah's resources will be in the links and show notes. And with that, thanks so much for coming on to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.